Hey, do you guys remember a few weeks ago when all the most popular mega chodes were losing their minds because they thought they caught Kamala using a teleprompter during her Univision town hall?
Victim of crime. Are you a Republican? Are you a Democrat? The only question I ever ask is, are you okay? And sadly, we have seen over the last 2 weeks since Hurricane Helene.
Yeah, they were just losing their minds. Queen of all morons, Kamala caught using teleprompter at unscripted town hall. Busted! Kamala was just caught using a teleprompter at her Univision town hall. Producers panic and turn off the prompter midway through her answer. Why did Univision allow this? This is egregious journalistic malpractice. Grrr. Breaking, Univision accidentally broadcast proof that Kamala used a teleprompter at her town hall. Watch them panic when they realize they were sure that... Fucking idiots. Even though the host of the show immediately clarified on Twitter that the teleprompter was for him and was actually displaying his broadcast introduction in Spanish. The teleprompter displayed my introduction in Spanish, and then it switched to a timer. Any claim to the contrary is simply untrue. And yeah, if you watch the HD version, like in 4K, you can actually zoom in on the screen, and it is clearly in Spanish. I don't know whether Kamala speaks Spanish, but it doesn't make much sense that her teleprompter would be in Spanish. Anyway... Well, guess what was at Trump's town hall last week? You know, besides a crowd full of Hispanics that weren't buying any of his BS. That's right, there was that same pesky teleprompter again.
Convicted murderers, people in jail, to come into our country. They released them from jail into our population.
So I'm sure those same MAGA dipshits were just as outraged at the thought of their beloved orange cult leader using a teleprompter, right? Oh, what's that? They didn't say a fucking word about it this time? Must just be a funny coincidence. Right, Jake? Yeah. Anyway, in a new damning report released today in The Atlantic, Trump was quoted as saying that he needed the kind of generals that Hitler had, because apparently old Don, being the history buff that he is, wasn't aware that Hitler's generals tried to assassinate him not once, not twice, but 5 separate times. Trump, I need the kind of generals that Hitler had. The Republican nominee's preoccupation with dictators and his disdain for the American military is deepening. And just a fun fact here, under the leadership of Stauffenberg, plotters tried to assassinate Hitler at least 5 different times in 1943 and 1944. But Trump being a moron isn't exactly breaking news. What was much more interesting in the article was a story leaked by his former staff about him trying to get out of paying for an American soldier's funeral. In April 2020, Vanessa Guillen? I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name. I'm butchering your family's name, I guess. Yeesh. A 20-year-old Army private was bludgeoned to death by a fellow soldier at Fort Hood in Texas. The killer, aided by his girlfriend, burned Guilin's body. Guilin's remains were discovered 2 months later, buried in a riverbank near the base after a massive search. Guilin, the daughter of Mexican immigrants, grew up in Houston, and her murder sparked outrage across Texas and beyond. Fort Hood had become known as a particularly perilous assignment for female soldiers, and members of Congress took up the cause of reform. Shortly after her remains were discovered, President Donald Trump himself invited the Guilin family to the White House, with Guilin's mother seated beside him. Trump spent 25 minutes with the family as television cameras recorded the scene. In the meeting, Trump maintained a dignified posture and expressed sympathy to Guilin's mother. I saw what happened to your daughter Vanessa, who was a spectacular person and respected and loved by everybody, including the military, Trump said. Later in the conversation, he made a promise. If I can help you out with the funeral, I'll help. I'll help you with that, he said. I'll help you out. Financially, I'll help you. In an Oval Office meeting on December 4th, 2020, officials gathered to discuss a separate national security issue. Toward the end of the discussion, Trump asked for an update on the McCarthy investigation. Christopher Miller, the acting Secretary of Defense, was in attendance along with Miller's Chief of Staff, Kash Patel. At a certain point, according to 2 people present in the meeting, Trump asked, "Did they bill us for the funeral? What did it cost?" According to attendees and to contemporaneous notes of the meeting taken by a participant, an aide answered, yes, we received a bill. The funeral cost $60,000. Trump became angry. It doesn't cost $60,000 to bury a fucking Mexican. He turned to his chief of staff, Mark Meadows, and issued an order. Don't pay it. Later that day, he was still agitated. Can you believe it, he said, according to a witness. Fucking people try to rip me off. Yep, I want that guy in charge of the military. So just add that to the mountain of other examples of Trump disrespecting the troops.